Hello,
And welcome to our podcast, Wine with
Shelly.
and Shelley.
We are two women passionate about supporting those affected by cancer. Our businesses are dedicated to providing resources and community for people navigating this challenging journey.
Whether you're a cancer survivor, caregiver, or just looking for information, we've got you covered.
On this podcast, we'll be diving into a wide range of topics, from the latest research and treatments to practical tips for coping with the emotional and physical challenges of cancer.
We'll also be sharing inspiring stories, interviewing experts, and exploring the latest trends in cancer care.
Join us as we navigate this journey together.
Let's get started.
Hey, Michelle.
Hi, and welcome back to Wine with Shelly and Shelley.
We're happy you guys came back to listen or watch. We do have a fun guest, but we want to just kind of touch base on some things that are happening. Michelle was busy. She said as soon as she got up to this mic, she's been busy doing this all day long. So what was happening today, Michelle?
Well, some exciting things. October, of course, is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And that is when a lot of people just are extra motivated to do something to give back. So we have Advanced Auto on Highway 50 in Delavan, who for the third year in a row has generously put on a campaign called Putting the Brakes on Cancer. And so if you book a brake job with them, they are giving free brake pads, and $40 of every brake job will then come to Breathe Inc.
That's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. It's a way to have a small business thrive, but also, I mean, who doesn't need a brake job? Let's make sure everybody's safe on those roads, right?
Absolutely. And what a breath of fresh air. You know, when some of the small businesses, or any business for that matter, wants to donate proceeds, it just helps us be able to focus our attention on what's important, and that's serving the people who need our help.
Yeah, and so we're always open to finding other businesses that are interested in getting involved. That's just one example, but it's really a community effort. How can we better support those in need? And I think that that's wonderful that they stepped up and have been helpful in that category. But we're always willing to get more people interested in helping one way, shape, or form. So that's just a great example of something simple, but something that everybody could use, having maintenance on their vehicle. And now is a good time to go and get that done.
Absolutely. And a little teaser for you, Shelley. This is news Shelley hasn't even heard yet.
Uh-oh.
It is not official, but I would encourage our audience to look next month, October, at the Abbey, to go to the West Bar in the Abbey, because they are going to be rotating 5 different cocktails and donating a portion of the proceeds to Breathe as well.
That's awesome. I think I remember you mentioning that you were meeting, but then it was not official or talked about. So that is pretty wonderful that they found out that Breathe Inc. exists and that we're ready to help others and that they want to help us help others. And I think that's pretty wonderful. So that's exciting.
Yeah,
That's exciting.
give locally.
That's
They
great news.
appreciate that.
Side note, we were just discussing, I'm so happy I could walk in here today. You should have seen me 2 days ago. Fell off the train, and I'm just saying this because everybody's human. As anybody in life, it doesn't matter if it's a workout routine or eating healthy. You can fall off the train, but you got to chase it and you got to get back on. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Broke my wrist a couple months ago and found it difficult to get into a regular routine because I was busy healing my mind and my body, but needed to get back into a routine and did so. And boy, oh boy, last couple of days, my husband's been laughing at me getting up out of the chair. I mean, I'd still go for a mile or two walk, and it would loosen up, but boy, you sit down for a second and everything is nice and tight. So this is just a shout out to everybody that, no matter where you are, don't forget that you can fall off that wagon and don't get down on yourself. You can get right back on. It's going to be a little painful, not going to lie about that. But you know what? if you stay on that train, it's a lot easier to continue. I was on a plateau and I wasn't feeling the discomfort of that was a hard workout anymore. So I'm kind of in a way thankful that I'm reminded that like, okay, you can get back to where you were. It might take you a bit, but don't forget you can get there. So something so simple, but just want to encourage everybody that out there that if you fell off that wagon on your nutrition, on your exercise, on your spiritual journey, on your family life, whatever it might be, don't forget you can get right back on and don't get down on yourselves because it happens. We're human and things happen in life, but don't forget what's
Mhm.
important to your own health and your health journey, your spiritual journey in general. So that's just what I wanted to say about that.
Well, just to clarify, Shelley, you didn't actually fall off
I literally fell off.
of a train.
No.
Okay. I'm just joking because lately there's been a few more accidents. So I didn't,
No, no trains, just wiping out off my own 2 feet.
just the
Being,
analogy of a train.
yes.
Okay. Well, this is good.
I mean, I wouldn't mind getting on the train, a real train, and go on a trip, but no, it didn't fall off the train. But when you fall off of your normal routines or a goal that you have set,
Mhm.
don't get, tough on yourself and say, oh, I can't do it. No, you can start back up. You can start slowly. You can get right back where you were. Don't lose sight of a vision that you want to work for yourself. And a lot of times when you commit to yourself, you're committing to the community you live in, to the church you go to the school you're organized with, programs that you're involved with. So when you commit a little bit to yourself, you can be the best you to be able to contribute to other great things. So don't forget that.
Absolutely. And without
Well,
further ado,
that was
shall
really
we?
funny. Don't mind me, everybody. This is just a thing.
Uh,
We do have a fun guest, though. We've talked about a little bit in the past when we had a missed guest, but we had talked about pet therapy and how important it was. And we have
mhm.
a community organization that we're really excited to introduce to everyone, just in case they don't know about them, and kind of talk about how it started, where it's going, and how that can be helpful to everybody out there, right?
It's a wonderful organization. So
Yeah,
I can't
excited to
wait.
present them. So everybody get ready. We have a really amazing guest. Her name is Faith, and she's part of an organization called Comfort Dogs. Tell us a little bit about like the origination of Comfort Dogs with our community here in it's Rock County, or what do they all serve?
The Comfort Dog Ministry is actually a nationwide ministry. So the Comfort Dogs come from an organization called Lutheran Church Charities, and they originated in Northbrook, Illinois. And so they have a training facility down there where they raise golden retriever puppies from 8 weeks old until about a year and a half, 2 years when they're ready to be placed with a Lutheran church in any state. And they have a team of handlers and ministry partners that work with the dog once they're placed in a community to go out and provide comfort to people in need, whether that's hanging out in a school with kids during the school day or they're going out and, hanging out with people who are in need of comfort for a natural disaster or a cancer survivor, all these different types of things that the dogs are doing. So we've got happy visits and maybe not so happy visits, but we're just there to provide comfort and hopefully put a smile on people's faces with the help of a golden retriever.
Well, and who doesn't love a golden retriever? First of all, I don't know one
Absolutely.
person that hasn't probably met a golden retriever. They have such a unique personality. Like it's different than no other
Mhm.
animal. I feel like they just are tender-hearted and just little sweet souls. When I mean, you obviously would agree. I don't think I realized it was that big of an organization.
Yeah, we actually have over 100 dogs placed across the United States, and they're all out there doing good work, just helping people in need.
And it sounds like you guys have two at this time. What are their names? And tell us a little bit about those little fellas.
Yeah, so we have Comfort Dog Mary and Comfort Dog Rejoice, and they are out of St. Paul's Lutheran Church in Janesville, Wisconsin. And we actually have quite a few other dogs in Wisconsin as well. So they have buddies that go out on visits with them, and we get to hang out. It's kind of like a big family, really. All the handlers get to know each other, and the dogs obviously know each other too when they go on visits with each other. So it's just nice to have, a sounding board for someone who is out there doing the work with you, someone to talk to after going out on a visit,
Mhm.
someone to just bounce ideas off of and ways that we can go out and help more people.
Mhm. I love that. I love that opportunity for people because there's many people that, whether it's a mental or physical ailment, they aren't able to have their own pet, and for them to have that time with a loving animal that also is trained
Absolutely.
in that, I
Mhm.
think that's pretty great. And how long has Janesville, your comfort dogs, how long have they been around?
Yeah, we got Mary in 2018, and she just turned 9 this year. And
Wow.
we got Rejoice in 2024.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
So Mary's been super busy. My goodness, she's going all over the place and visiting. Where has she been going?
yeah, so we have weekly visits that we do just in the community, but we also have special visits that come to us from Lutheran Church charities, and we call those emergency site visit deployments. So most recently, she was actually in Minneapolis after the shooting,
Mhm.
that two children had died in a church when a shooter came in, and we were there to help the families through their grieving process, be with the community after this major devastation that happened to them. And the dogs were there to help people and provide a little comfort, and the handlers were there to really walk beside them, provide words of comfort, hugs, all those things to the people who really needed just someone to help them out.
Was there multiple dogs at that location then? That's
Yeah.
pretty wonderful and much needed, I'm
Yes.
sure, in these cases. And this is happening a little more than any of us would like to see. But that can just prove the healing pieces of having animals, and just that support, that presence there is huge.
It is, and I have to say I've had some personal experience with the comfort dogs from St. Paul, and it's been wonderful. One devastating situation where there was multiple deaths, and a whole team of dogs came. Not only some other dogs from Wisconsin, I believe as well. And so it was quite an impactful sight to see the line of comfort dogs and the, just the look on people's faces and how the dogs would approach um, certain people they would tend to gravitate towards that you knew were just struggling a little bit more in their grief, a little quieter about it. And it's amazing the difference in just everyone's demeanor and even people who didn't feel like they really needed that
You'd
had
be
it.
surprised how many people don't think they need a comfort dog until they've got one in front of them.
100%.
And the tears start flowing and they just are able to open up. I mean, the dogs are really a bridge for us. The people feel more comfortable opening up with a dog around. And that's really where the handler dog duo comes in, where the handler can come in and then, chat with them, ask them what's going on, if they're willing to share, and if they just want someone to listen to them, because sometimes that's really what people want, is just to get things off their chest if they've been having a
Mhm.
tough time, and we can just listen and provide comfort.
And I think there's something about a dog that's different, though, that people, the reason they feel comfortable is they know a dog has no judgment. No, they have nothing on their agenda. It's not it's not a personal thing. It's not, they just come and they exist with you, and they're in tune to people and the energy
Mhm.
that they're putting
Absolutely.
out. Like you said,
Mhm.
a lot of times the people maybe don't even recognize it, and that's where, you know, mental health crises are in the first place, is that we don't even recognize it in ourselves. But an animal, is like honed in on that, and they just detect that in some way, shape, or form with energy or chemistry or what have you. And it's really pretty
Absolutely.
amazing to see, I'm sure, as a
Hmm.
handler, to see like some of the magic that can happen between an animal
Yeah,
and a human being, those
absolutely.
things.
Yes, and I understand that it's quite a process that these dogs go through to
Mhm.
be able to get to the point of going out into the public that I think you mentioned, was it 2 years?
Yeah, so it depends on the dog. Some take a little bit longer in training than others. Um,
Just like people, right?
yeah.
Mm.
But all of the dogs will have over 2,000 hours of hands-on experience and training before they're actually deployed to a church, which is really amazing.
That is.
Lutheran Church Charities has a wonderful staff and a team of volunteer trainers that come in and keep the dogs in their home, bring them out to different environments, get them used to a bunch of different things. These dogs can go on planes, they're used to flying. They can pretty much travel wherever. They all wear a vest when they're out working. So similar to a service dog in that they wear the vest, but their vests say, please pet me, because we want people to feel that they can come forward and hang out with them, and just get
Oh.
a little comfort from them when we're out in the community.
Do you know how many different commands they know on average?
It's probably close to 20 or 25 commands. But we always say that the most important command that we have is the with me command. And that is how we tell the dog that we want them to walk side by side with us. And that is important mostly because it ties into a biblical reference for our dogs, and that we want to walk side by side with Jesus. And so we want the dogs to also walk side by side with us, that we're gonna be their protector when we're out in the community.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
So it's a really special command. They know a lot of other things too, and that just helps make visits smoother. And, we don't have dogs just jumping up on people. We want them to be well behaved when we're out on a visit, because we want the community to remember them doing good work and not, being a little naughty.
They are amazingly well behaved, and I think I need to send my puppy to that school.
And even once they're placed, we continue training with the dogs. So just because they have all that basic knowledge and training, our handlers go out every week with the dogs and work on, continuing to strengthen skills and putting them in different environments. Because it's one thing to have the basic knowledge, but when you're actually out on a visit where you've got a lot of things going on around you, a lot of distractions, sometimes there's other dogs, there's cameras everywhere, there's people running around. You really want your
Mm.
dog to be able to handle those situations and be able to, look to you to, guide them where they need to go.
Yeah, and ultimately it is the handler. And we can touch on that too. Is with handling, do they have training?
Yeah. So not as much as the dogs get, but we do go for a 3-day handler training down in Northbrook, Illinois when we get the dog. And then, we all work together to strengthen skills. So we'll go out and train together so we can watch each other working with the dog and provide feedback. We also have a yearly conference. And so sometimes it's the national conference where we get almost 100 dogs into a hotel conference
Oh my
room. And then
goodness.
sometimes we just have regional conferences where it's just, our Midwest dogs here. Um, but that is another opportunity where we can step in and take some time to train and work with each other, and just keep up on our skills.
That's wonderful.
Fun. And do the dogs come to church on Sunday?
They do, yes. The dogs are usually in church all throughout the week. So we actually have 4 church services that the dogs normally, trade off and go to. So they are pretty present in our own church as well.
I know that there have been some barriers, particularly in hospital systems. I'm not certain as to what they are, but like in cancer centers, I think it would be amazing for those people that would like a visit from the dogs to be able to have that comforting presence for their treatments. I would think even or especially the first treatments, when there's a lot of anxiety. And then I can see a little bit of pushback because there's a lot of extra monitoring that goes on. Um, but even for patients, when they are experiencing different points in their treatment where stress levels are just higher, I always say life doesn't stop when you get a cancer diagnosis. So sometimes, other family things come up, other stressful events on top of it. And so it's like a breaking point for people. And it would be nice for them to be able to have access to the comfort dogs. Do you ever do one-on-one visits?
Yeah, we have done one-on-one visits with people who are interested. Really, it's just reaching out and seeing, what members of our team are available and where would be best to, do a visit like that. We have done some home visits for people who are more homebound. And, we've also gone to like a park and, seen people there. So really, whatever is comfortable for them. Not everyone wants people in their house, and I totally get that. And then,
Sure.
some people have animals, and it's nice to kind of sometimes keep the dog separated from, pets then since they're working. But yeah, I would say definitely if we have a barrier where the dogs can't get into a hospital setting, for any reason, whether that be, the hospital not allowing that or just not enough staffing to support the dogs coming into a particular area, I would definitely say a one-on-one visit would be the best way to go about that.
And I like the flexibility that you have. I know that people would probably love it at chairside when they're getting their chemotherapy or whatever, but at least we have that option to at least reach out. Reach out if you're wanting to have a comfort dog come visit you. They can meet you halfway. They can meet you in a park. They can meet you in your home. They're willing to be flexible with you. So that's wonderful to know that that's an option for folks, even if it's not necessarily in the environment of, the hospital or the clinic. So that's good to know.
Yes, and are there other barriers that you have noticed at your time with the dogs?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there are certain, first responders that we struggle getting in with when I really think they probably need it the most. They've got very high stress jobs and they carry a lot of that home with them a lot of the time. And so getting in and helping people like that who need our services a little bit more is definitely a huge barrier that we see in the comfort dog world. A lot of people think it's just a dog, and there's so much more than a dog, especially when you've
Mhm.
got a handler and a dog duo who are there to support and comfort and just be there for you.
Mhm.
And people need that in any stage of life or any situation. Sometimes you feel alone. And when you have somebody that comes to see you, whether it's an animal or the person or both, that really can make somebody feel like, okay, I can make it, I can keep going. And sometimes that hope is brought back simply because somebody took the time to go in and just be with you. You don't even have to have a conversation.
Yeah.
That's
Sometimes just listening is really what people need.
Yeah, and that's where a dog's great because they might talk back. They might talk back, but it's kind of cute when they do it. It's not like your teenager. You're just like, listen, don't talk to me like that. But they're cute when they do it, and they usually get somebody laughing, and then they kind of just forget that they're dealing with whatever that is, and it could be the smallest of things, or it could be the most big, large things, but it really does help them
Mhm.
feel better. And I love that you
Absolutely.
guys exist. How many, you said it goes across the United States. How many comfort dogs do you know are in Wisconsin then?
I think we have 8 or 9 dogs in Wisconsin and a couple teams in process to be getting a second dog.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So we're very
Oh.
excited that things continue to grow. And, for some of our older pups, they do eventually retire or pass away. And so churches that want to continue in the ministry and get another dog, it's just so wonderful for their community because they're used to having that dog and resource there, and to be able to continue that mission, for their people is really important.
It sure is. It
That
sure
is
is.
wonderful. So I'm thinking about end of life. So you have someone, um, who is starting that dying process, could the family reach out,
Yeah,
or anyone
absolutely.
reach out on behalf of that person and the family?
Yep. We just have to be invited. And if we have a handler available, we will answer the call. We want to be there for our community as much as possible. And the dogs have even attended funerals in the past. So if that's
Oh,
something that the family is wishing for, we can absolutely see if that is something we could
Try
do.
to accommodate those as well. That's
Yeah.
wonderful.
I love how creative. So it sounds like there's really very few limits as to what you're willing to do, what the organization is willing to do. And that's where we're at with Breathe Inc. and Sparkling Survivor. We want to meet people where they're at
Yeah.
and to help take away some of that burden that they have when they have a cancer diagnosis. And so just thinking creatively and out of the box, it sounds like you don't say no very often. You just kind of figure out how to make it work.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we do have instances where an emergency deployment will come up and we may have to cancel, one of our normal visits. We always try and reschedule that if we can. But we are pretty transparent with people that if an emergency deployment were to come up during one of our scheduled times, we will deploy our team for that because the need there is just so great and they need the dogs
Sure.
to be there for, those people in need.
Yeah, not that they don't matter. Like you said, you get
Yeah.
them rescheduled. You reassure them that you'll still get another visit at some point.
Mhm.
And I would think most people can understand when there's some sort of emergency like that, that
Absolutely.
they just at least still have that. I got something to look forward to. I
Yeah.
Mhm.
still know that Mary is going to come visit or rejoice. So I think that that's huge, is just something to look forward to when you might be lonely or suffering with mental health or physical health,
Mhm.
and combination. Let's be honest, it's everywhere, all everywhere,
Yeah.
and so it's a real thing. So it's wonderful that they're
Absolutely.
out there, and I'm glad they're growing. Um, Hopefully, it'll just be like that. Every church starts just having
Sure.
one.
And I think the emergency departments and the psychiatric units, behavioral health units, I think are just great places
Yeah.
to help people.
Yeah, and even what I was just saying is, lo and behold, I took a prison nursing job just to continue on a path of where I'm guided, and boy, do I see a huge need in that. When we were just chatting earlier offline, is really, we all demonize the people that end up in prisons, but the reality is that's just one more space where somebody maybe just grew up in an environment that none of us will understand. And so maybe we have to be a little more compassionate. And maybe that's where a dog would come into play, because
Yeah.
a prisoner or a inmate wouldn't feel like this person is just going to look at me like I did something horrible. They're just there to give them love. And that's mostly what people are searching for at
Yeah.
this moment.
Absolutely. We're very fortunate that both Mary and Rejoice are able to go to the Rock County Jail and visit with the inmates there. And we see huge smiles on everyone's faces the minute we walk through the door. Those people that are there, they've made a mistake and they understand that, but they also have a life that they left behind. Maybe they left a family behind or a pet and they miss their family and their pets. So seeing the dogs and a friendly face is just a way to step up their stay there and help them out until they can get back to their lives.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and a better way to rehabilitate them. We put them in a cell and then expect them to kind of regain their mind, but yet
Mhm.
an animal and a handler coming in and just saying, "Hey, we see you. We know there's a good chance that you didn't do this just to be an evil human being," because that percentage is really small. If you know anything about psychology in general, like if it's not
Mhm.
about the prison system, if it's just people out in the world, that is a small percentage of people. There's a lot of good human beings that are unshakably good, and that's going to be my favorite comment for the rest of my life, because I really think that's an opportunity that those dogs get to just go in there and shine, and get them maybe excited about getting out there and doing what they would prefer to do rather than what they mistakenly did. So it's
Absolutely.
pretty
And
great.
that relates to a lot of what I've heard from people who are diagnosed with cancer. They will say that all of a sudden, um, some people don't know what to say to them, or they're afraid to be around them. And now they become very isolated, and socializing becomes quite awkward. And they feel like they have some sort of plague in a way, are some of the comments that I've heard. So just knowing that they're accepted unconditionally, which is what the dogs do, right?
Absolutely.
And walking that journey with them um, brings a lot of comfort.
Absolutely. Yeah, we are very fortunate to have the comfort dogs in this community and be able to help people, who do feel isolated and need someone just to listen to or yeah.
Exist with.
Be
Yeah,
present.
absolutely.
So everybody's probably wondering, well, we got comfort dogs on here. How does that play a role with the cancer world? And we were just curious, did you have anybody without naming names or, specifying anybody? Have you had experiences that you know of that the comfort dogs have played a role with a cancer patient, survivor, caregiver, any of those types of things?
Yeah, absolutely. Both dogs actually have experience with cancer patients and survivors. We've had Mary visit, hospitals at end of life for people who have just not been able to beat the battle. And, she's there in their last moments with them, providing comfort for the family and hopefully putting smiles on faces of those people. And, even Rejoice has been out in the community working with people, people in our own community that need support and they love the dogs. They just love having someone to hug and snuggle into. Their fur wipes away any tears. And it's really just a really special moment for people to be able to get support from the dogs and the handlers.
Yeah,
I
and it's
know.
interesting she mentioned end of life. I mean, it's
Mhm.
it's it's people going through cancer, but that end of life piece, and we might not even recognize the work that's being done with the person that is actively dying. We will never have a scientific background behind that, but what kind of energy work could be happening that we will never be able to quantify what happened with that person, before a passing, whether
Mm.
it's just that final, soul healing that happens between that animal, or how did
Mhm.
they have a relationship before that? Like you had mentioned, the comfort dogs have been to, a funeral and things like that. So it's really great that they kind of do create like a little relationship with those
Yeah.
folks.
Absolutely. And that's what we want. We want to build relationships with the community. It's great to have Mary out. People know her by name, and now we have Rejoice as well, and she's getting well known in the community. But even just, community events like National Night Out, people come up and they say, "Oh, there's Mary, there's Rejoice." They know him from the schools, they know him from our other visits. And it's always wonderful to see people really recognizing the dogs and the work that we're doing in the community.
That's
That is wonderful. I do happen to know that one of the cancer support groups in Rock County has had several visits from the dogs, Mary in particular. And I know that it's one of the most popular groups that tends to bring out more participants than average.
I don't blame
So,
them.
me neither.
So that includes the fact that it's not always just a one-on-one thing, that
Yeah,
there are, community activities such as, cancer support groups, and keep your eyes peeled, because that could be something that if you feel like maybe I don't want to be just singled out with the animal, but then maybe you could suggest it to a cancer support group that you're involved with. It just takes one
Sure.
person to mention it. So even if it's not something that's being offered, that it could be something that somebody could just say, hey, I know about these comfort dogs. Could we have a visit with our next support group and see how that goes? Because then that's multiple people enjoying that comfort of the dog.
Absolutely. And How much advance notice does your organization need to walk
Yeah,
the dogs?
it's nice to have at least a couple weeks advance notice. The dogs are pretty busy and just doing our normal day-to-day visits. And so having a little bit of advance notice is always nice. But if an emergency comes up and someone really needs a visit, we will absolutely do our best to try and accommodate a visit, with just a few days notice.
Good to know.
Wonderful.
Good to
Yes.
know.
And how do they contact your organization?
Yeah, so the dogs all have emails and Facebook pages. So they can always reach out through the Facebook page if they'd like. Otherwise, Rejoice's email is rejoice@caninecomfort.org. And they can reach out that way and get a response from our team members who will hopefully help set up a visit. And we don't charge for any visit at all. So all of these services are free. We just have to be invited to be somewhere.
And so the dog responds, or yeah,
Unfortunately, the dogs can't type, so
that'd be the cutest.
they've got a partner in crime to help them.
Shelley, I don't know about you, but I have a feeling that they probably have more likes on their Facebook page than all of us combined.
Right, right. Well, who doesn't love it? If you're a dog person, you're a dog person. And some people just would love that kind of a visit. And so it's great to know that that's huge in the area. But that, again, I didn't realize it was bigger than it is. And so
Mhm.
that's even more wonderful. So it might just inspire somebody who is part of an organization of some sort of church somewhere, that they'd find, hey, maybe our church can now start doing this. And that could really help grow that whole entire process of getting those dogs out to as many people that really need that extra layer of support.
Yeah,
So that would be wonderful.
Absolutely. Um, do you pray with people?
we do. Generally, if we're asked, we'll pray. We don't like to force anything onto anyone. Our ministry is faith-based, but we aren't going in and trying to preach on every visit. That's just not the best way to go about this. And we want to build a connection. We want people to see Jesus through us and the work that we're doing. And so the dogs have the little fish on their vest. And of course, people ask questions all the time because the dogs have business cards with Bible verses on them. And we'll always be transparent and answer questions if they come up, but we don't ever want to press beliefs on anyone either. It just doesn't make for a good visit or connection that way.
And that's good to know too,
Wonderful.
because sometimes people might be put off from their own experience, and then they might not reach out because they hear ministry or they hear. So it doesn't have to be like that if you truly just want to experience that time spent with an animal, and your belief system is different, that you aren't excluded from getting in contact.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And we still would
Well,
encourage it no matter what. So it's
mhm.
good. That's good information. It's something to think about, that um, people do sometimes have that off put when we hear that word, and we
Hmm.
associate it with something. So that's good information for people to know.
Yeah.
And what was that email again?
Yeah. Rejoice@caninecomfort.org.
That's wonderful. Well, and again, it's just like anybody we might bring on here. If you connect with this, and you want to even maybe start a ministry in your area, and you want to get connected, and you maybe miss that email, you could always reach out to Michelle or myself. We'd
Mhm.
be happy to get you connected, because the more dogs, the merrier, as far as I'm concerned. She was just talking about how we would really like to go to their conference. Michelle and I were like, can you let us know when the next one is? We might accidentally have a room there. We're just going to crawl right into that pile of 100 dogs right now.
Heaven.
It's, especially Goldens, because they're just so darn sweet. I mean,
And so soft.
Hmm.
I would imagine that they are very comforting to anyone with dementia.
Hmm.
Just that touch of their silky, soft coat. And boy, I'm thinking of, again, there are cancer patients
Hmm.
who also have dementia or other comorbidities, and what a calming presence for
Absolutely.
them.
well, we're excited, and thank you for sharing, first of all, what has been built here, but also being a part of something wonderful that is going to make a huge difference. And it's such a reward, and something that's so easy to do because you see the smiles, you see the joy. And that truly is the work that we're all intending to do anyways.
Yeah.
When we connect and we connect others, that's the most powerful tool we have, is connecting and love and, unconditional love and no judgment and just coming in there, like you said, and just being with people. That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's powerful. Some of the simple things in life.
Absolutely.
So if you need to get in touch with Comfort Dogs and you missed the email, or you just not sure where to go again, or you misspelled it and you got a reject email, because that happens to me all the time. You can always reach, I know, right? Nobody ever does that. You can always reach out to Michelle at Breathe Inc. or Shelly at Sparkling Survivor, and we would be happy to get you connected in one way, shape, or form.
Absolutely.
Any afterthoughts on this whole Comfort Dog business? Because now I feel like I wish I would have had her bring Mary or Joyce with, because now we were like, man, we should have gotten comforted during this interview with those sweeties.
Well, listen, so now we have to invite her back.
I'm just be like, listen, Mary or Joyce are going to be on here for an interview. It's your turn. They'll love it.
Absolutely. Thank you again for coming. What a
Thank you for having us.
wonderful,
Yeah.
thing that your organization is doing for the community. And we're glad that you have another dog with the
Yes.
organization to keep that resource available.
Absolutely. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us today on Wine with Shelly
And Shelley.
We appreciate your support and listening to our amazing guest stories. This podcast is brought to you by
An oncology survivor nurse.
and an oncology social worker.
We both own organizations led by women who are making a real difference in the lives of cancer patients and their families. Breathe Incorporated and Sparkling Survivor LLC.
Remember, there are many ways to get involved and support the fight against cancer. You can donate to our organization, volunteer your time, or simply spread awareness about us.
And if you're interested in being a guest on our podcast to share your cancer journey, a caregiver story, or even your business's supportive services, please reach out.
We'll be back soon with another inspiring episode. In the meantime, be sure to check out our websites and follow us on social media.
And remember, together
We can breathe.
and become sparkling survivors.